What's up, everybody? What is happening? Happy Tuesday. Welcome to the Real Estate Power Play podcast, where we come to you every single week, bringing you the golden nuggets to help you grow your real estate business and figure out different ways and strategies and stuff that we've been using and the tools that we've been doing to really just share the love, share what we've been learning so we can help you grow. And the favor that we ask is that you just like, share, ask questions on here. Let us know what you're doing right now in your business and any ways that we can help you grow. And by that, man, guys, I've been like today, I had multiple phone calls. Ronnie was just talking to me about the phone calls he's doing and just people he's helping growing. And in return, we're growing. So I love this community. Ronnie, how you been, man?
Doing good, man. Doing good. I'm excited to jump in and talk about how to get started investing in real estate in the next 90 days and just kind of jump in, help out, and really set that trajectory in the direction that I want to go, right? I want to go in the next 90 days. And what does that really look like for especially people who are new, and what I wish I would have known early on? And even some of the stuff, like you said, we were going over right before this call. I'm excited just to like get that out there and go, because I'm getting a ton of questions. I know you are. And I think this will just really hone in and give people that momentum to start creating that and go in that direction. So, but yeah, going really well, man.
Let's crush it. Let's crush it. All right, guys. So we have a list of things that we want to go over. So in your first 90 days of real estate investing, Ronnie, what's the number one thing that you kind of have to know? So let's just paint the picture real quick for those. This is the idea is you're getting involved in real estate investing. Either you have friends or you have family, other people, maybe your spouse is looking at you going, okay, cool. Like you read a book. Okay. You listen to a podcast. You might've watched somebody else. You might've watched us. And now you want to try this out for yourself. You might have some cash. You might try to get to freedom. You might try to get to just get rid of a job or make some extra cash or a side hustle. That's the picture. So what do you do? Step number one.
Yeah. Step number one, man, is you got to figure out where you're going, right? Like what's the destination? What is the goal? What is the strategy you're going to do? You know, I found, and I've had like 3 conversations in the last couple of days with people who are new and getting started. And one of the things I'm finding that I'm sharing is people want to have a little bit of everything, right? They're like, oh, tell me about innovations. Tell me about seller financing. Tell me about creative financing. And I've been telling people, you know, before we get cute, let's lay the foundation, right? And the foundation is those core skills of investing in real estate to build wealth, to attain freedom. And that means picking a direction, picking a core trajectory of where you want to be, whether that's, you know, finances, a certain amount of cash, whether that's a certain amount of deals, whether it's a certain type of investment property. It's, you know, what is the destination? What does freedom in real estate mean to you? And what does wealth building mean to you? Is it, you know, this pursuit towards excellence? Is it this pursuit towards, you know, more cash in the bank? Whatever that destination is, you gotta figure out what that is, because without that, you know, you don't really have wheels under you. You're just kind of trying this and trying that. You can't plan, do, and then, you know, look at it and decide, hey, is this what I wanted to accomplish or not? So number one, guys, is figure out what you want. Where do you want to go? How much money do you want to make? How many deals do you want to do? What type of deals? Do you want to fix and flip? Do you want to wholesale? Do you want to buy a couple rental properties? Do you want an Airbnb? You know, you can't choose all of them. You choose one of them and then you run after it. So number one thing that I recommend people do is take a step back, ask yourself, man, 90 days from now, what would make this 90 days incredible?
Yeah. And so guys, that's great tip. What's going to make it incredible, which means you just have to map it out. Now, one of the things we want to do as a caveat that I was just sharing with Ronnie was we find that people spend quite a bit of time in the creative zone, and that's really good. If your creative zone is working on your marketing, working on your sales pitch, we pretty much do 3 times a week right now, maybe 4 times, almost every day this week. In the last month, we've been honing down our sales pitch that we do for different stuff. Just our pitch for the sellers, our pitch for a realtor, pitch for a broker, pitch for different people. And so that's great, creative mode in that area, right? You're off camera, you're off the phone, and you're just talking to your team. That's good. That's a good line. I like that one. I might add that one. Ronnie and I do this sometimes. What you do in the first 90 days, though, is not that. All right, let's just make sure that we got that right. In the first 90 days, you don't want to be running in the sand, like the Fred Flintstone mode. This is what Ronnie was talking about. You want to hit it pretty hard, and you want to get yourself in a spot where you just say, okay, this is good enough for the next 90 days.
Yes.
All right. And the reason why is because in 90 days, you're going to get so much action done. You're going to do so many things. And if you connect with us, we're going to push you to do it. That's for sure. That's one of the things of just being part of our inner circle is you got to go, and you got to go fast. And I know Ronnie has his group of people, by the way, guys, that he has an inner circle. I have my inner circle. Whoever you connect with, just connect with us. We'd be happy to just involve you in what we're doing so that we can help you speed up your process. So 90 days, don't do some of those things. Don't run around trying to figure out your logo, your graphic, your other stuff like that. All that stuff's going to come to you as you're in the business. Don't go around and sign up to every single Facebook group that you need to sign up to and every single thing unless you want to grow. Because what ends up happening, Ronnie, is lo and behold, you talk to somebody and they're like, well, I'm on Facebook and I'm doing this and I'm on this other chat group and I'm doing that. And you're going, so you're on like 20 different chat groups. Who are you talking to? Right. And so you're listening and you're talking to other investors, but you're not really talking to the sellers. And those are the ones that you really want to get a hold of.
Well, and if I may, Gabe, kind of add to that, part of the problem is, as much as reading is great, like if you look behind me, I finally switched my stuff, so my bookshelf was behind me again. As much as reading is awesome, if you're not actually talking to people and you don't have a pathway to get the deal that you want, you can read 100 books on sales and you will learn less than making 150 calls and having 150 conversations. Totally. Right? Like I just challenge some of the guys in my group, like the goal is to create by the end of the year 111 people that raise their hand and say, hey, I'm willing to talk to you about selling my house. And then from that to have 2 conversations over 5 minutes a week. You see, the goal here is to have conversations and then tweak, right? You do, and then say, man, I didn't really like how that would. Let me try saying it this way instead. You don't want to, well, maybe I should say this. Maybe I should say this. Maybe I should do this. Maybe I should have this logo. Before you have any action, it doesn't matter, guys, right? It's about, getting those tires on the road and actually driving towards the destination rather than walking around your car over and over again and saying, oh, maybe this, maybe that, maybe, oh, when I get here, I'll shift to this. And like, that's all just, it's not helpful.
Less talk and more doing.
Less talking.
Yeah, we got 90 days. You got to prove it to yourself, to your family, to whoever who's watching you. You can do this. Okay, so number 2. This is where we put on those binoculars. This is what we're looking for.
Properties.
Boom.
Yeah, we want to jump in and look for properties. You see, there's 3 things in real estate that I like to say. Number 1 is you got to have the knowledge. You got to know what you're doing, right? You got to know how to do it. If you don't know anything, it's really hard to take action. So you do need knowledge. The second thing you need is a network of people around you to kind of do the deals and make things happen. But you have nothing. You have absolutely nothing without finding properties, without generating people who are interested in selling you a deal, right? And so creating that first funnel, that first path to finding your deal is critical. That is the first thing you want to focus on once you decide, hey, this is where I'm going. I'm going to buy, 2 Airbnb properties by the end of the year. The next thing is, okay, how am I going to buy 2 of those Airbnb properties? And how do I start talking to people so I can start looking at properties that fit my criteria? And so that is the next goal, is how do I find those properties? Now, there's a couple different ways you can do that. Way number 1 is you can do it the free way, which is through networking, connecting with people who are looking at properties, right? And there's 2 primary types of people that you're looking for here. Number 1 is a realtor, right? A realtor who has the types of properties that you may be investing in. You can create relationships. You can reach out to them and share with them, hey, this is what I'm looking at. Here are my resources. This is what I'm trying to accomplish. Who do you know or what do you have that I might be able to buy? The second type of person you can reach out to is a wholesaler, someone who's literally working day in and day out to find discounted properties that they can turn around and sell to buyers. And trust me, wholesalers right now, me included, are looking for the buyers who want to invest, right? If you're a buyer and you want to invest, I promise you that if you reach out to wholesalers and you're like, hey, I'm looking for X, Y, and Z, they're going to put you on their list. They're going to be your best friend. They're going to want to connect with you because they're looking for properties. And then the other way is actually reaching out to sellers directly. And there's a variety of different ways you can do that. But your goal is to get them on the phone so you can have a conversation with them about selling their house. Those are the primary ways to find deals right now. And that's what you should be focusing on.
Yes. So guys, this is really key. All right. Now this could go very broad. This is a lot of information. We're hammering it really hard because that's what our goal is. Whenever we do the Power Play podcast, we want to make sure we're hitting it hard with some sometimes we go deep in the weeds and sometimes we go high level. Today's a high level thing because we've been getting a lot of calls from different folks who just want to know how to get going. So finding these deals, this is, like I said, binoculars are on. Now you're searching stuff out. So wholesalers, great. Realtors, great. Many ways to get a hold of realtors. Okay. You can get a hold of a realtor by just looking at listings. If you're in an area that's kind of a depressed market, you can go through expired listings. My area, the expired listings doesn't work right now. And I've tried them in the last 90 days, just kind of testing it out, seeing if they're ready. They're not ready yet. The market's still nice and hot. And you can do that every half a year, I guess. You could try that out and say, okay, we just bump it real quick. If you don't get a good response and realtors are not telling you, yeah, this is what's going on right now. Oh, yes, I have another one that got backed out. I don't know if I would try that heavy right now. Wholesalers, like Ronnie said, perfect place. You want to be on all of their buyers list. You could go into different Facebook groups and just say, hey, I'm a buyer. This is what I'm looking for. Just keep in mind that you got to be able to perform. Okay. You can't just go out there and say, I'm a buyer and I'm a tire kicker, because you'll have that name and that rep and they'll stop sending you stuff. So you just want to keep that in the forefront of your mind and going, look, I'm doing this. This is what I'm looking for. This is also just a quick hint. This is also why you want to JV with people, why we take on JV people. Ronnie takes on JV people. I definitely do. I'm working on some projects right now. That's some land deals. I got some single family deals. They're all JV type things where basically a newer folk would come in saying, Gabe, I'm in my first year, my first 6 months. I got some other stuff. I think I have a property. Can you help me do what now? What's next, Ronnie?
Yeah, actually, I want to turn this around on you, bro. Like, this is something that you've come to me and said, dude, all the big guys focus on this. And I want to turn it over to you on what you do. But when we analyze properties, which is the next step, why is analyzing properties so important, Gabe? Like, you've hammered this into me and really said, like, the guys who win are the guys who are actually looking at the numbers and figuring out, what is this property worth? Hey, the underwriting makes sense. Let me move forward. Why is that so important?
Yeah, well, I mean, this is where the cash is. This is where people say you don't make money on the sell, you make money on the buy. I mean, this is the whole thing. Like, if you're not acquiring something right, they call it buy right. There's a lot of different phrases for it in the beginning, right? Which was going to take underwriting, some analyzing, which we're going to do now. You're going to end up with a property that you might not want, that you're going to wish that you didn't buy, or that you're going to hold it under contract. You're going to spend a lot of time. So here's a quick tip. You don't want to spend a lot of time doing underwriting on something that's trash. You want to approach a deal as if you don't really want the deal. And here's the reason why. If you approach every deal, man, maybe I can make something out of this one. Maybe I can make something out of that one. You're that Fred Flintstone thing again. All right. So now you just moved out of one category of what's my plan, now into finding a deal, Fred Flintstone. And then you moved into analyzing deal, Fred Flintstone. And now you're in 60 days, almost your whole time frame going, oh, I've only really analyzed 6 deals. And so what's really crazy is that I'm totally into biohacking and health and dopamine and other stuff. That's just from the background that I grew up in, and me being used to be ADHD and dyslexic and all the stuff. And as I moved my way out of that stuff, I'm realizing, and this is open for the world to see, is that, look, when you move your way out of that stuff, you realize how addicted you are to just doing. Right. And so what that means is that you can be addicted to analyzing one deal, and you come back and you're analyzing that same deal. Well, maybe that might be something. Well, maybe that might be this. Well, maybe I can restructure it again. Or I just found a podcast over sub 2. Maybe I could do it as a sub 2 or seller financing or something else. And so what I find is that if you can train yourself especially in the first 90 days, to analyze the deal just once, just go, you know what? This isn't for me. These are the numbers. This is my margin that I need to make, right? So whatever that might be, say like if the ARV is 250 and you could pick it up for 170 and it needs 35, 40K worth of work, you're going, okay, that's fine for me. That's all I need. I just want to get going. I'm okay with making 25K, 20K. Okay, fine. If you're in the higher range, if you're in you're going to acquire it for 400 and the ARV is 650, 700, just figure that out. Figure out how you're going to get your cash, figure out how you're going to do some of this stuff, because that's what you're going to be doing in your analyzing phase. Then in the analyzing phase, what you end up doing is and if you could keep your box fairly small in the beginning, you'll be able to move a lot quicker. And one of the things that I notice most people, is that there's so much content out there. I've never had this much content whenever I got started of different ways to do deals, that it's almost like it slows most people down from getting started and let their first 90 days to, like when we first got started, it was either wholesale or flip it. And then that was it. I didn't know any other strategy. It was just, you're either going to wholesale it, you're going to keep it yourself, you're going to flip it. And then there was the rental idea.
Yep.
But I didn't even know about rental ideas until after my first year. I was like, I just need the cash.
Well, and what you're talking about is really like, what is the potential of this property, right? Like figuring out what is the potential and asking yourself, how does this property make money? And if we can isolate and say, yo, this property makes money in this way. I'll give you an example. I'm actually almost done. It's getting ready to go on the market, hopefully mid next week. This deal I'm doing in Kalamazoo, I'm flipping it. I put it under contract for $49,000, and I was gonna wholesale it. I was just gonna wholesale it. I was like, you know what? I'm trying to get out of Kalamazoo, and I pushed it out, and I got an offer for under what I had. I got an offer for like 30-something thousand. And at first, I'm like, dude, what am I missing? But the more I looked at it, I analyzed the deal. I'm looking at the comps. I'm like, yo, I can rehab this house for less than $20,000. It doesn't need a lot. And I can put it on the market for 120,000, 125,000. Okay. You know what? Instead of me trying to get a couple $1,000, I'm just going to buy it and rehab it and push it out. And sure enough, I think I'm into the property. Like I just crossed the $16,000 mark. And we're getting ready to list it. Like this is potentially a $50,000 deal, which in my book is a whale, right? I basically the way I look at it is anything over 50 grand is a whale. Yeah, so sure. I'm looking at this property and I could have wholesaled it and made a couple thousand, or I take it down and I can make nearly 50,000. And that's, in my book, when I'm analyzing deals, I'm trying to see, okay, how does this property make money for me? And how does this make money for my investors? And let's work this out to determine what direction I should go. And I think to your point, it's so easy just to spin our wheels. But if we can just focus and say, okay, this opportunity that I'm speaking to, from finding the lead, finding the deal, now how much money can I make? Or does this property make money? And then how much? That will inform our decisions to decide, hey, is this a opportunity I want to pursue, or is this an opportunity I want to pass on? Because we have to make that decision hopefully in less than 30 minutes, right? And be able to move on. So good stuff, man. Very good.
Yeah,
stuff.
This is good, guys. So as you go about these, so now we have you have a goal, which you're looking at doing for 90 days. We have finding the property, right, within that time frame. We have analyzing the deal and really just putting it through a system of Very simple. What's the ARV? What's that top number that it can sell for? What are you acquiring it for? What's the budget to get it fixed up? And if you're buying it through a wholesaler, that's a different scenario because they probably have their number tacked onto there. So you're just going to acquire from them at that said number. Then you have the rehab, and then you have that spread that you're going to make in between. If you're going direct to seller, that's even better. You still got to do the same analysis for yourself. And now we're entering into that place where we're going, okay, now that I know where these numbers are, right? No matter what price range you're in, no matter there's a property we have that needs substantial amount of foundation work, and it's only like it's a 6-year-old home. And I'm like, ooh, that doesn't sound good to me. I'd rather it be a 30-year-old home with foundation than a 6-year-old home with foundation. Right. No, I'm just kind of joking. But anyways, now we're looking at, okay, what's next? Well, what's next on the rung of what to do in the next 90 days is you work on your exit strategy, right? So we kind of hinted on a little bit of it, but let's dive into more of some of the exit strategies of looking through just acquiring and getting involved in real estate.
Yeah. So the exit strategy, when I think about this in my own business, I think about, it kind of ties to that destination at the beginning. It's like, how do I actually want to make money? Do I want to build wealth and cover my income with cash flow? Is that what I'm solving for? Or am I solving for large chunks of money now? And that's going to determine the exit, right? Or at least one aspect. Another aspect is the opportunity that I'm looking at, right? If I get a lead and I analyze the deal and one exit doesn't work, but another exit works and I can maximize that, I can grab a hold of it. But if a lot of times people will put the exit at the beginning and they'll say, you know what, I want to focus on novations, or I want to focus on creative finance, or I want to focus on blank. And what happens is they get paralyzed because they don't focus on finding properties. They focus on an exit, and they want to learn all these little nuances that aren't actually helpful, right? Learning a novation isn't actually helpful until a novation possibility is on the table and you have the core skill of finding properties, analyzing deals, and then deciding, I can exit with a retail buyer. And this is how I formulate that. And so when you focus on that exit, the question is, how am I going to profit on this property? And what I'm finding myself actually recommending a lot of new people is lay the foundation of deals first before you get cute and you start doing these other little things, right? Lay that foundation of doing a couple wholesale deals. Do 3 or 4 wholesale deals before you try to do a creative. Do 3 or 4 flips before you buy a rental property. Do a 3 or 4 rental properties before you go in and do an Airbnb. Whatever your strategy is, it doesn't mean choose this over this. It means figure out what your core is, go after it, do a few of those things first, and then open up other possibilities, because you're going to learn more walking through the entire process from A to exit. And then you're going to see, I could have done it like this. I could have done it like this. And you'll be able to walk through that option next time. And so when we're thinking about the exit strategy, or when I think about the exit strategy, I think, how do I want to make my money? Do I want to flip this property and manage contractors? Do I want to just wholesale it and get to know the other investors in my marketplace? Do I want to have an Airbnb or do an arbitrage? Whatever that direction is, now's the step after you analyze the property to make sure it fits that runway so you can make money. And again, don't lose focus. The goal is not to be able to spout off all these things, guys. The goal is to do deals and buy the property and get through whatever exit you want.
Yeah, guys, this is really good. That's really good, man. Because so here, let's go into this. Let's go into the types of exit strategies that we run into most often for anyone starting off in the first 90 days and then going to 180. Is really simple. So you have wholesaling a deal. So you're going to acquire a deal. Seller looks in, you find the deal, you analyze it, looks pretty good. And you're going, you know what? I don't know if I want to take on this type of project, or I think I could just do really well if I just found a buyer. Okay. So you can go in and you do a wholesaling of a deal. So that just means you're taking on the paper of a property and you're selling it to the end investor who is going to do whatever they want to do with it. Doesn't really matter at that point. It's out of your hands. It's either they're going to flip it or seller finance, do something with it. That's up to them. But what you're doing is finding that buyer. So that's just a typical wholesale type deal. And you're just getting that machine going. The good thing about that, I think this is a skill that everyone should really know. I mean, because you can do this in a lot of different assets, all different classes you can do this in. It's just a skill to know how to put stuff in something under contract, go through that process. So that's wholesaling. The other side of it is doing rental properties, right? That's an easy understanding of how that works. I think everybody understands that, is that you have a property, you figure out the funding, and you go and you hold on to it and you put a tenant into it and you're getting long-term rent. That's a key thing there. Keep in mind, I said rent. I didn't say cash flow, because a lot of that cash flow is going to go back into the property to stabilize the asset over time. It's not just I'm making $400 a month and let me go spend that. And then another one that's really simple in your first 90 days is doing your typical fix and flip, where you're going into an asset, you're acquiring it, you're doing the fix up, which means, again, your first 90 days, you got this asset in the first 90 days, you're going to spend another 30 to 45, maybe the next segment of your investor time doing the flip aspect of it, which is the contractors, getting hold of the other things that are needed to flip a property, maybe a stager, or maybe finding out that you don't really like this contract and you have to let that one go, or connecting with your community around you, finding out other things about the property, stuff that maybe you do know or you don't know. But that's just a different aspect of the real estate world that you can do. There's typically bigger gains in the flipping aspect of things, right? And then here's the cool one.
Let me ask you this, Gabe. What would you recommend someone focus on as far as an exit strategy today? Like if someone was coming in and saying, yo, I want to get into real estate investing. You know, I know I want to make some money. I know I want to switch into this industry. I know I got to find properties. I got to analyze them. But what should I focus on, Gabe? Should I buy apartments, or, you know, is that kind of stupid? Or should I fix and flip a house, or should I wholesale? Like, what should I get into?
Man, that's such a loaded question, guys, because what ends up happening is one size doesn't fit all. Even for single family housing, you can have 5 people with single family housing that I am good friends with, and we'll all have 5 different views of how to analyze that one deal, because we all have 5 different life goals. And this is the thing that Ronnie and I were talking about, what is your freedom number? Because your freedom number is going to help dictate what's the best strategy for you to get involved in. So Ronnie and I were talking about maybe doing another 30-minute session or an hour session with, let's get you to your freedom number to figure out what that is. So if you guys want to do something like that, let's ask us some questions, or just say, yeah, I want to be part of that. And then maybe we could do a separate Zoom or a select call where we can help you go through the process of that. I know Ronnie likes helping people go through that also. So that is a case by case, very tailored for each individual, because Ronnie has different goals than I do. And I'll give you guys an example. If Ronnie's in the midst of 5, 10 flips going on right now, and he's going through that process and he goes, my guys are screaming, they're at the max, I really don't want any more, but I got these 3 properties that just came in and I'm going to monetize them because that's my business. It's the right thing to do. I got to figure out how to monetize them. And if you only have the fix and flip model, you're only going to look at it through those lenses. Instead, here's another one I wanted to add in there. You could just talk to a realtor and go, hey, listen, I have this deal. This is what's going on. Do you pay a referral fee? Like, what kind of fees do you pay? Like, what do you have going on here? It's not something that fits for me. They kind of want to get closer to the market value. They don't have a realtor. They don't have anyone. And you partner up and you collaborate with people that you connect with. I have 3 or 4 people, you know, one of them. All right. That, right, Ronnie, that I rely on. And I say, hey, look, this is what's going on. It's on the other side of town. Go run this deal. You do it. I get a referral fee. We, you know, wash your hands and we're all good to go. And that's because Ronnie's booked up. He's got 7, 10 flips going on right now. He doesn't want any more. So he's like, whatever I have, I'm just going to wholesale. I'm just going to flip, or I'm just going to move the product off the table. Now, that's higher level stuff. Right now, we're talking about those who are in the first 90 to now 180 days. If you're looking at a flip, Okay. So those exit strategies, I would strongly advise that you do something that can help you move quicker. I didn't believe this in the beginning. I thought that because I came from like the construction, I didn't know the power of that first four or five deals. Right. I still remember my first deal. I think everyone does. I remember my second deal. I remember my third deal. I remember my biggest deal that I did in the beginning. I remember that I walked away with 65, and I'm going, man, that is crazy. I've never seen this before ever. Just like within like in a bank wire, and I go, something's going on here. I don't even know what's happening. I just kept on plugging. And so I remember all that stuff, but this is where it's tailored just for you. Now, we're going to go to this last segment, and this last part is what do you do, which is kind of goes into this exit strategy, is either you fund this thing, you figure out how to fund this, or you move on. So how do you make that decision? Now you know the exit strategy, Ronnie. How are you making that? Let's say it's obviously either going to be a hold or you're going to move on with it. You got 5-10 flips going on. What do you do at this point?
At this point, the goal, guys, is to maximize the amount of cash you can get out of a real estate investment. It's all about cash, right? It's about cash. It's either about cash flow or it's about how much cash I can get today, or as soon as possible. So at this point, when it's deciding whether to move on or not, I'm rating, is the risk worth buying this deal to make money later, or should I wholesale this deal to another investor who would want it? Or should I hold this property long term? And that's all geared towards, one, what is my current strategy to build wealth? And what phase am I in? Am I stacking cash? Am I building a portfolio? Or do I think this deal is a good deal, but it's not for me and it's for somebody else? I'm filtering this decision based through that to figure out what type of cash do I want to get out of this and what do I want to do next? And like right now, I'm looking for what is the biggest chunk of cash I can get out of a deal. That's what Ronnie's looking for right now. Ronnie is not in portfolio mode. I've been in portfolio. I built 2 portfolios, right? I'm not in portfolio mode right now. I'm in, how do we turn this property? And you guys want to ask yourself the same thing. What mode are you in right now? Are you in, I want to place capital in properties and have this be a long-term investment? Or am I in, hey, I want to turn this property and I want to make $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 out of this property, or 20 or 15, whatever your goal is, and figure out what is that exit for me? Because the goal is, one, making cash. Like, how do I turn this property into profit? And then deciding if this is a deal you want to invest in. So that's my strategy, is like, how do I turn this opportunity into cash money? Because if I can turn it into cash money, that means there's value there. And that value is something either I can maximize myself or I can pass on to another investor to maximize that value from what they're looking at. But the question is just how much value is here and how much cash can I pull out of it?
Yeah, that's really good because it's really at that point, you already did all the work. You already did all the analyzing and looking through the whole process. You know what you're going to do with it. You know the exit. And now you're going, I know the exit. Do I need to raise money to place towards this asset? Or can I just offload it without raising the capital and move it towards someone else's balance sheet and they're willing to pay you cash on it? And that's an awesome opportunity, guys, because every person has their own model of whatever they need for the moment. And most of the time, when you're doing real estate investing, you're doing a lot. You're having a lot of movement. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, most people are not getting involved with real estate investing just so they can have another job. And this can be a stressful job. If you look at anybody who's involved in real estate investing, or a realtor or a title company, escrow officers, they're running just as hard as anybody else. It's kind of like a 95 or even more than that, 60-hour job. So when you are acquiring assets, just remember that is a long-term investment play. It is not, you got to look at it as saying, I just put 20K, 30K, 40K towards a long-term play because I know it's a good asset. I know it's something I want to keep for myself, and that's going to be over there. All right. And then what you're doing is designing it to where it can throw off some cash in the meantime as you are collecting the equity, right? And collecting that net worth over time. That's the play. Just remember that if you don't have the 30, 40K to drop into it or the 10K to drop into it, you got to go make that. You got to go do it. And that's the cool part about having this as, you could do this as a side hustle. I just saw in one of our groups just now, someone was saying they have a full-time job. They work 60 hours a week and they got to figure out how to get involved in all this stuff. And I'm going, there's plenty of time to do it. You just got to remember that we're not doing this just to make a bunch of money and go on vacation, because once the money's gone, it's gone, right? The idea is to figure out what that freedom number is. So guys, that is it for us for today. Thank you for joining us. I know you'll probably connect with us later. So DM us, call us, text us, whatever it is, through social media. We're totally available. And like us, share us. If you have any questions, feel free to give us a shout. We're happy to help you out. Ronnie?
Absolutely, guys. Most people approach real estate investment through a series of trial and error, trying to find their deals. Most people go through and they spin their wheels and they try to figure it out. You see, partnering with somebody like Gabe, like myself, and really answering and asking questions, whether a local mentor or someone there, they can give you the roadmap that took them 2 or 3 years to get through. So if you want kind of that shortcut, reach out to someone locally, reach out to us, and we'll help get you plugged in so you can get a deal as fast as possible. And you can start getting that momentum towards building the freedom you want, getting the money that you want, and getting out of the position that you're in right now, towards your goals and your trajectory. So until next time, guys.
See you. Peace.